Okay, let's say good morning. It's a bit straight. Yeah, alright, today. Day 22. I think yesterday. Was it yesterday? Oh no, the day before yesterday. We got. I think, yeah, okay, loading game code instantaneously. But I still had to, what's the word? Let me zoom in. That should be good. Yeah, it seems. Okay. Restart that. I don't remember. It was build lib. There doesn't seem to be a watch mode. But I guess I did I did see here. I think we're gonna do that anyways. I feel like I'm missing something. Zig build run. I gotta fix that too. Whoa. Did I quit it? Oh, sorry. That's my bad. Here. Doesn't load the library initially. Why? Oh, okay. My bad. Go to the background. Build lib. Clear my history. Zig build lib. What's the lib called? I gotta check. Okay, and the file. Source handmade. See, the frame rate drops consistently at some point. Why is that not built? Oh, I think I need to specify dynamic. Yeah, that's why. Oh yeah, okay, that works. We can, so that's what we did on the last stream. We get so I guess move forward.
We will deal with that later. All right, hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Handmade Hero, the show where we code a complete game from scratch using nothing. No libraries, no engines, just right on top of the OS, as low as we can possibly go.
Hello,
And
Casey.
again, this is just an educational program. We're basically trying to do everything that's involved in the actual execution of a game so that people can understand the complete technology behind them with no kind of hidden aspects, no misunderstandings, like really getting down into absolutely everything that makes a game tick. Because not only do I think that's important because, hey, the next generation of engine programmers are going to have to be able to do all that stuff, but also because even if you always intend on using engines or libraries, understanding how everything works in the full stack of a game really allows you to make better decisions, it allows you to debug things better, and it allows you to drop down and do low-level stuff in the cases where you actually need to in order to make new things for your game in the cases where existing things just don't work right or don't support the kind of things that you need. So pretty much, there's never really a bad time to learn more about low-level stuff because it can only really make you more powerful in everything that you do, no matter what level you do it at. And so, with that stated, we're going to do some stuff today to pick up on where we left off yesterday, where we were trying to basically put C into a position to be as easy to use as a scripting language in terms of turnaround time. So instead of having to go through a compile, debug, run cycle every time we want to change something in C, where you have to restart the app, we made something yesterday where we could just change the C code and it would automatically update in the game without having to close the game. And so what we're going to do is we're going to work.
That was actually pretty cool. I enjoyed that quite a lot. Just saying.
On that a little bit more today and perfect it to getting to the point where we can just live code C and have the game change right instantaneously as we change the C code. So if you are following along at home, if you have pre-ordered the game, you should have gotten an email with a link in it. That link always allows you to download the latest source code. It is one big zip file that has separate zips in it for every day. And as you can see here for the handy dandy counter, we are on day 22. So if you would like to follow along with us, unzip day 21, and you will have the exact same source setup as I have right now. So with that said, here we go. Now, a couple things happened yesterday. Basically, we were having I was having trouble figuring out how to tell the compiler, no, really, we don't want an exe, we just want a DLL. But it turned out the only reason for that was because I was compiling in the build.bat, I was compiling trying to pass the /DLL to the linker, but it turns out if you're actually calling CL and not the linker, you have to pass this /LD switch. So it's just a compiler switch change that you have to do. So we did that yesterday, but what that means is that a couple of things that we did to try and get things to output a DLL are not actually necessary. So for example, at the bottom of handmade.cpp, I had inserted this DLL main, which is basically the place where when a DLL is loaded, Windows calls that back just to see if it needs to do anything. We don't need to do anything, but I checked to see if we had to put that in there. I don't think we actually need that anymore, so I'm just going to verify that we actually don't, and it looks like we don't. So then we have in our build directory, we still should be producing a DLL, and we are, not an exe. So basically, I just wanted to get rid of that code because it didn't need to be there, so there's no need for it. Other than that, we were in a pretty good position yesterday. I'm going to recap sort of where we were, just so you have a good understanding of what we're going to do in a second here. But basically where we've gotten to is if we go into the build directory and we ran our game, right? And here's the game. We were now in a position where we could, if we wanted to, go into GNU Emacs or whatever editor you happen to be using at home. If I want to kind of make it so that I can see a little bit better, I'll make a little kind of shorter and squattier, if you will. Oops. Thank you, Windows, for correcting that. Of course, that's what I wanted you to do, was to make it the whole window size. So if I go in here now, while the game is running, we had actually gotten it to a point where I could go and change what it was doing, and it would update on the fly. So for example, if I wanted to change this from using green to putting green in the green slot to putting green in the red slot, I can do that. I can hit save, and then the game will periodically reload. Oh, sorry, I have to build it first. So I build the game. When it actually finishes building, the game will then pick it up and change the color. But you'll notice there's a fair bit of lag there, right? When I hit it and I redo it, there's a fair bit of lag there. And the reason that there's lag is that our game is only actually checking to see if it needs to reload every so often. It's only checking about once every 2 seconds. So that's something we could fix and get it a little bit better. The other thing that we would like to fix at a bare minimum is that if we were running in the debugger, oops, that's no good. I keep forgetting that in fact, I should, let's go ahead and close that and get that out of there. I was syncing the witness earlier today and don't want that getting snuck in here. This is not a witness coding session. This is a Handmade Hero coding session. So basically, if I was to run this in the debugger, right? So I run the same thing that we were running, but I run it under the debugger. If I was to go try to recompile, we ran into a problem, which is that Visual Studio, when I try to compile when the game is running, it can't actually compile because Visual Studio has locked the debug information file. And so the compiler is unable to actually do anything about that. It can't output a new one because it's trying to write it over the same place. And this is pretty bad because I would like to always be able to run the debugger. I don't want to have to stop using the debugger when we want to use our live code loading. So what I'd like to do is also figure out a way to get around that. So the first thing we're going to do is see, I don't actually know, this didn't used to be a problem. Visual Studio, like many Microsoft products, gets worse with every revision, and this is one of the ways that it got worse. Before, when you would unload a DLL, it would actually unload the PDB as well. And so I assumed that it would do that, and that all we'd have to do today is make sure that we actually do that. Like in the game, we would unload the DLL, it would unload the PDB, Visual Studio would stop locking the PDB for access so we could write to it, and then we would reload it and everything would be fine. But from looking on the web today, because I wanted to check to see if that was true still, it turns out that it does not look like it is true. It looks like Visual Studio now continues to lock the PDB even after you unload a DLL, even though it doesn't need the PDB anymore, it just keeps it locked. So we could go verify that that's true, or what we could do is try to change what we do a little bit to see if we can work around it. So one thing that I was thinking of, people were saying basically you have to timestamp the DLL and stuff like that, but I'm not sure if that's actually true. We can change, using a compiler option, we can change the name of the PDB that we're going to use. We can force it to output the PDB to a different file if we want to. I'm going to go ahead and look up that here. So if I Google for MSVC set name of PDB, there should be a thing which basically tells us a linker flag. Well, actually, it looks like a compiler flag, sorry. A compiler flag that basically allows us to pass the name that we want for that PDB. And so it's a /fd. So if I go in here and I say /fd, in theory, I should be able to, I don't know why I'm using slashes all of a sudden when I usually use dashes. Basically, I should be able to pass something else. So let's say I go ahead and pass some other thing here like foo.pdb. I should be able now to make it build a different PDB into the build directory. And let's see if that actually works. So I do not see a foo.pdb. Why do I not see a foo.pdb? That does not look like it worked, people. Does not look like it worked at all. Am I wrong?
I don't know what a PDB file is. That's the first time I'm hearing it. Also, I wanted to check something else before. I noticed when I run it initially, it's empty. Why is it empty in the beginning? Not here. Wait a minute. Select input. Okay, here. Get this out of the way. This is null at this point. Ah, okay, obviously, because I don't look up think instead of having that null, let's do this and get rid of that. This should work now. Yeah, okay, perfect. Excuse me, sorry. I have my teeth a little bit. No, I didn't. What did I want to check? Okay, no, nothing. Should I just skip the compiler or no debugger stuff? Because I think my debugger still doesn't work. I haven't tested it for a while.
And that way, every time I recompile, my PDB will have a different name. And so what I'm hoping is now, when I run Visual Studio, right, it's going to load that PDB file for the DLL. And if it keeps it locked, I'm hoping that that's okay, because basically now when I go in here, right, and I ask this to recompile, it will actually just recompile to a different PDB altogether, right? So when I come in here and I do this, I'm assuming that it won't touch that one. It'll just use a completely different one, and then it can repick up the old DLL, and there it goes. So I'm hoping that that is the simplest possible solution to this problem. We don't have to do any trickery. We don't have to change our DLL's name. The DLL can always be built to the same place. But basically, we just keep making new PDBs, making new PDBs, making new.
What's the debug file in Zig look like? It looks the same. Did I change Handmade? Is there a way to get the build directory? That way, instead of using CWD, excuse me, I could just read from the build directory. No, path. Well, the standard build. I should have access to this during build time. Getting started, simple executable, adding convenience. I guess eventually I can do this when, let's say, you don't need to hot reload. Hey Linux Dev Labs. I've been learning a little Zig lately. How are you finding it so far? Testing. I think it's a lot different than C. Target options, executable. Entry point main.zig. Root source file is a zig entry point of the module. If a module only contains external object files, you can make this null. This could be a generated file. Zig. How are you coping the learning process? Quite good, I could say. I would say. It initially it was quite a lot of work. I think when I started Zig last year, mainly because I didn't do much low level stuff. I think it was I did see like 15 years ago. Jeez, that's long. Yeah, around that time. 10 plus years ago. So that was the hard bit. I think Zig itself, not too bad. It's quite similar to Go, and I use Go at work. So it was overall, I'd say not too bad. Not as hard as I thought it'd be. And I would also say, thanks to Zig, I'm also enjoying more low-level programming. Wait, what am I looking for? Zig main Build directory. So I don't know what that means. Yes, cloud. Can I get the build directory? I know that. Okay, hang on. I think it answered my question. Dot. As cache.direct. Oops, I didn't mean to delete that. Why does it say cache? Fast and simple novice attacks using specially crafted input. I was looking at it a couple of weeks ago, and I think I got a couple of really good projects to eventually learn a little better. I think that's the right way to go about it. It helped. It accelerated the learning process a lot when I started building stuff with Zig. And I think the other thing I did was the documentation is really good, I would say. The examples especially. I did read quite a lot of it. I'd say more than 50-60%. So yeah, I'd recommend reading it. Pretty good. The language reference. Okay, main dynamic. Standard debug. Print. What was it called again? Build root. Oh, because it needs to be passed. Because there was only a type. Say. What's this function called? Project specific options. Build file, override path to build.zig. Get rid of that for now. I mean, I could just look it up, zig out, bin, and then build it there. What's this? Interesting. Alright, anyway. I think I got distracted.
PDBs, and you can see that they start stacking up here, right? Every time I make a change, we'll end up with a new PDB in there because MSVC will keep them all locked in its infinitesimal wisdom. I have no idea why it's doing that. But we don't really have to care. It just means there's a little more space used on our drive for these PDBs, right? There they all are stacking up. But as soon as I end this program and we get out of here, then they will no longer be locked. So when I go to do my build again, you can see there's all the PDBs there, but when I go to do my build again, it should delete them all, and there they go. Now, it's kind of annoying to have that deletion thing show up, so I'm wondering if I can just do something to tell it to be quiet. So like don't tell me all the time when you can't delete things. So there is a -q, but I don't know if that'd actually do it. So let's find out. Let's see if there's a way to tell delete to be just a little quieter, because again, I'm just trying to figure out how to get rid of this access is denied, access is denied. Basically, commands from the console have two different streams, and we didn't cover this because we're not making a console app, but there's basically two different streams that console apps can write to: standard out and standard error. And they can be redirected separately. So by default, anytime it tries to write text to something called standard out, it shows up in the console. Anytime it tries to write something called standard error, it shows up in the console. But if you do something like I did where I used that little pipe syntax, so I did start.pdb, and then I try to pipe it to a text file like this little arrow here says send the output of this thing to foo.txt. When I do that, right, it sends only what's called standard out, only the output, which doesn't include standard error, which is usually what things write to when they have an error message, like access is denied. So you can see we got rid of some of the printing, but not all of it. Now, what the command is to pipe standard error, I don't even remember. I do not remember what it is. Let's see. So let me check the stream and see if anyone knows on there. So they say /null/toNull. So they were saying potentially you could do this sort of thing, right? I don't know if that actually works. Doesn't look like it though. Oh, which it's the 2 comes before, so it's this way. Okay, so there we go. So there is a way to output to pipe the different streams. So what we could do is do something like this, and you can actually do them to basically a null destination, which says just eat it entirely. I don't really want to go too far to, oops, I don't really want to, okay, thank you. I don't really want to go too far down that path necessarily. But this looks
That's
like
interesting. I had no idea you do that.
Oh.
What is excuse me? What is the second pipe? So one is standard out, second one is standard error. Interesting.
Relatively solid thing we can do that just says get rid of that input because we don't ever care about it. But like I said, I don't want to cover batch file programming because A, I don't know it, and B, it's really only applicable to Windows. So let's go ahead and put that on the end here. So that's basically saying get rid of all those messages. And there we go. Now we have a much cleaner thing. And it just keeps on going. I wish this thing would not tell us about the performing full link because I thought that I had turned incremental off on here, but maybe I did that wrong. Is it supposed to be off or no? I'm not sure exactly why I can't see.
Find out. Compilation output is more concise, and we're hot reloading the debugger. Skip ahead.
So what I'd like to do is change our platform code a little bit to make it so that we don't have that delay. And it's pretty easy to do that actually, because if you think about it, all we really need to know is whether that file changed, and checking if that file changed is actually pretty simple. Because what I can do is I can look at the date stamp on the file, because if you look, basically all files have a date stamp. It's shown right here, right? You can see all the files and when they were last touched. What I can do is I can just look at that date stamp and periodically check it. Checking the date stamps really quick, so we could check the date stamp like every frame and not really have any kind of real performance penalty associated with that. Just checking the date stamp of one file. So I could do is I could check the date stamp of just the DLL. If the date stamp has changed, reload it. If it hasn't, don't. And then we would get down to just one frame of latency. Basically, like we wouldn't even be able to see it. So I think that's the sanest thing to do. So, basically, what I was doing here may not even need to be necessary anymore either. We could think about whether it is or not. But if you remember at the end of last stream, what I did is, since I needed to rebuild the DLL, what I do every time before I load it is I copy it to a temp and I load the temp. Now, we wouldn't necessarily have to do that, I don't think. But I think I'm going to keep that in there just because it works relatively.
I think you do need it, because it gets locked otherwise, if I remember correctly.
Well, so I think I want to keep that in there. Okay, so we're going to do this first to do here. We're going to do automatic determination of when updates are necessary. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to define this name here because this handmade.dll. So I'm going to actually store what the name is so that I don't use it multiple times. So basically, we're going to have the source DLL name, and that's going to be this, right? And then we're going to have the temp DLL name, and that's going to be this. And that way we don't spam strings all over the place. So we've got the source DLL name, that's here. We copy the source to the temp DLL name, and then we load the temp DLL name, right? Real simple, nothing particularly crazy going on there, pretty basic. So what I want to do now is I want to extend this code to basically say, all right, let's also, whenever we do this load, let's snap a reference, let's snap the file date. Let's just get a quick handle on how old the file is so that later we can check against that and see if we need to reload. So I want to do win32 get file date, and we want the basically the MSDN documentation for this. So here you go. You can see it's really pretty basic. It's some of the Windows 32 file APIs are actually pretty straightforward and good. Basically, all we have to do is just pass it the handle to a file, and it'll give us back the different the creation time, the access time, and the write time. Now, my question is, I don't necessarily want to have to open the file, so I'm wondering if there's perhaps an easier way to do it than than having to do it that way. I could call this, right? But you notice it takes a handle, not a path. And I don't actually want to open the file for any particular reason.
I think there's fstat, something like that. But you don't need to open the file, if I remember correctly. I think on Linux at least.
So I'm worried that might incur a little bit of extra cost. So I'm thinking I might use a different API. Let's take a look here. There's a thing called find first file, which is used for searching files on a drive, basically. And I'm wondering if that may not be a faster way to do it. It's hard to tell. But basically the way this works is you call find first file, and you give it a file name. And that file name could be a wildcard, but in this case we wouldn't pass a...
Okay, I think I have an idea of what to do now. So thought I heard something. Shouldn't need the load counter anymore. Instead, Okay, it's lib. Yeah, I think that's the only place. How do you get Zig? Hey, what's the name? Are you making your own heap? No, not so far. Am I making? No, no, I'm not. What I'm trying to do is trying to make my own hot reload. So basically, anytime game code updates, I want to be able to load the game code dynamically. So right now, currently I'm using a counter to do it, where every 120, so that's like, yeah, every 120 frames or like 4 seconds, no, that's not 4 seconds. Oh yeah, that is 4 seconds. Yeah. Every 4 seconds, it just copies the the source file. But instead I want to check timestamp to see if it's been updated. If not, don't load it. Basically, I just want to remove the counter. How do I get now? I do use time somewhere. Time per frame. Can it be a null? Is it got a type? 64. To be a variable. I need to get the timestamp. Copy file. Does this open the file? Oh no, it doesn't. So maybe I could just check it here. Oh, but it returns nothing. Yeah, I think that's what he's doing, right? Sorry, I missed your previous message in the video. What is he doing? Yeah, he's trying to hot reload the game code. Day 22. No, I don't think he's packaging the assets. Instantaneous live code editing. It's hot reloading, basically. But it doesn't, what's it called? Well, not exactly hot reloading. Because it doesn't, it keeps, you keep the game state. As far as I understand, it's so that, let's say, you want to, he had a good explanation. Let's say you want to check how changing some variables or your game code affects the game, like visually. You want to see what it would look like. I think it's for that. So you can just update the game code while the game is running and it doesn't close the game. Do you know what I mean? It keeps all the other, it keeps the game memory as the same. It doesn't update. So that's why. Why does he want to reload the game as an object file? Yeah, I think because he separated the game from the platform layer. So the platform layer loads the game as a dynamic library. XZ, what do I need? At last file updated. Get and file information with stat. That's the one. So that might be better than cwd.stat. What is stat error? Access denied, permission denied, unexpected error. That's modification time. So that's what we need. Okay, I think that's perfect. It takes a directory. However, it takes a handle. Oh, sorry, I missed your message again. I wonder how he's mapping memory to new DLL loading in. To be fair, it just works. Cause yeah, why would that be a problem? Cause it's just a, cause it currently works for me too. Where is it? Main. Because the memory is defined and allocated in the beginning. No, there's no custom heap. It just passes like irregular variables. So memory is allocated on the platform in when it runs the first time. And then every time you call, maybe I can show you. Where is load? Not load game lib. Where do I call it? Yeah, here. That's the heap allocator. Yeah, I mean, that's all you had to do. You pass in pointers to your memory, basically. And I think he does the same. You don't really need a custom heap. Because when you unload the old code, just there's nothing much to do. Heap when you malloc, and without malloc, it's stack. I don't know what it does, but I do allocate to the heap. Yeah, because I use the arena allocator here. I think Casey uses what's it called, virtual alloc, if I remember. Okay, I got lost. Okay, maybe. I didn't know. Why is it like a custom heap? No, that's not what I mean. Really? Bashing my head against the wall, trying to read the file. I don't think it's that hard. Standard C.stat. Yep, that's the one I need. I think you can use stat file on either files or directories. Okay. Stat file cwd dot takes a subpath, turns metadata for a file. Yeah, exactly. That's what I need. And it needs subpath, which is 2. What are the errors? Okay, perfect. I can just create a file as well. Say you malloc size of 1 MB and then you create your own malloc func, call it heap malloc. You only I don't understand. You only align your data with 1 MB range that you can use with your first malloc. So it's now your own heap. Ah, I see what you mean. So he's yeah, I did notice that. He gets a big chunk of memory ahead of time, and then I'm guessing he saves or uses like parts of the memory to save game state and other stuff. Is that right? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. But I think I do it. I don't do it that way. I tried. It was a lot of work. But I was watching the last 2 episodes where he's doing the hot reloading. But I think for hot reloading you don't need to do anything to the memory. Even if you don't have a custom heap. Because the module that you're hot reloading is the game module, which is separate from the platform. And the platform layer controls memory and the game module. Stat. I need M time. Or was last data slash metadata change. I think I just need the M time. I can make it the same type. Plus source modified at. If stat What is this return? No, it returns nothing. If stat dot, what was it called again? End time. Last. I'm assuming when you hot reload, you pass in the new game object that referred to heap starting point. No, you just use the old one as is. It shouldn't really matter, right? It should, because for the game code, it's the same as when it's loaded the first time. When you reload it, it's essentially the same. It can start, it can continue from different game objects. Same heap, different game objects. No, the same game object. You just update the source file or the DLL. And you just, it's just another function, basically. I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe I'm last was modified. Source modified at out return void. I don't need this. Copy file. This. Oh, but how do I? Oh, I can just update. But it would have changed again. Different version. What do you mean by the game? Oh, you mean the source object? Yes, yes, exactly. Yep. Yep, yeah, exactly. Sorry, my bad. I got confused. When you said game object, I thought you meant the object in the heap. But yeah, you're right. It's the same heap. And I understand why he's doing it because it's pretty cool. That's not why he's doing it. You can change your code without having to like reload the game. And let's say you're in the last level or something, and you've like at the boss stage. That's what he's meant. That's how he explained it. And you want to see how if you change the code, how it would affect the end result. Yeah, it is. It's the same version memory. Yeah, the memory doesn't change. So I guess after copy, I do need try that and then get stat again. Maybe I can do this better. Last source modified pulse stat new damn time. Can this be done better? What is that? Oh, it's a copy. Can't really use that. See if that works. Oh, hang on. Oh, sorry. I thought it was the same person. PE thing. You have a very difficult name. No, it doesn't. What's the name? All the game code does is it takes some buffers from the platform layer, builds it up, and that's it. And the platform layer just does something with the buffers. Now I guess I can just call, I can get rid of that. Yikes, I do need to close the lib. How do I do that? Okay, so instead of load counter, game code modified. And start dot right at. I think it needs nothing. Two is just the source. SO. Source object. Oh, that's a big, I made a mistake there. If file not found, return. I'll just throw an error. Oh no. So I can just try to read it the next time. Here. I think this can be the same. I think I don't need to check this anymore. This case he only use it for debugging. So far, I think he hasn't finished. I haven't finished the whole thing. As far as I understand, it is for debugging. Like visually, without being able to see the output. Stat. Why did I need stat? I don't need it. So I only want to check if the file exists. Doesn't, it'll create one. And then you can copy the file. Modified at time. Yep. Okay. Don't need that. I think the rest can be the same. If game code changed. Hey Bomis. It just makes iteration times faster, no? That's if you have a game in a certain state, you want to change one little thing in that state, you don't have to restart the whole thing to get back that state. If you have hot reloading. I think not that. It's the state remains the same. You change the game code. So let's say at a certain state, your game behaves weirdly, and you want to like test out something in your game code. And it increases human happiness. I agree with like Tropy. Even building it is a lot of fun. And I think I'm getting the stat of the wrong file. This should be from. And this is 2. Okay, so that should work. No, it didn't. What's that now? Error union. Don't I return the error? Just in case if it's an union type, blah blah blah, does not support field access. There is a try right there. Oh, there was a way to do it. I do remember. You can do else. Error unions. Otherwise, the expression results in the unwrapped value. Can I unwrap the whole thing? I can do if I wanted to like return error. Yeah, because I don't want it to return. Okay, I shouldn't waste so much time on this. There was a neat way to do it. Can't remember what it was. Okay, I'm gonna figure that out later. Just I think it doesn't need. Just call the source, modify that. Oh, because it returns an error too. No, it doesn't return an error. Okay. So now if I modify, where's my blue offset? Change it to red offset. Then it's a build. Oh, that didn't work at all. Failed to load handmade lib error file now found. Where is it trying to game the do I need to close? Return error file now found. Why is it there? Oh, because it would have already been closed. Maybe I can do error defer. Then what did I change? Change it back to blue. Motherfucker. Why does it? I guess it's returning one here. Good. Oh, sorry, my bad. I noticed something else. Oh no. Okay. Never mind. Am I copying the file? I think I messed up copy. From to check if the temp file exists. Now create one. I mean, the file is here. Let's try. Okay, let me just. I don't think it's the copy. Because it would have printed this. Real path is current working directory plus path name. Yeah. Is it because I'm reading from a locked file? I'm just guessing there. Failed to load handmade lib. Error file not found. Where do I print that? File not found. Does it need a directory? I swear this was working yesterday. It was working today, in fact. Okay, that time it doesn't work at all. So it does need the part. It's only when I've built. Why? It's copied the file already. Let me print this part. I lost it. The first part was correct. For fuck's sakes. Yeah, so the part is right. I mean, the file is there because if I run it the next time, it loads just fine. What am I missing? Am I copying to the right file? Is that lock the file? I mean, that's the whole reason for using stat, so I don't need to open the file. Let me delete that. It loads the game fine. I have no idea why that's failing. This is new. It wasn't here before. Well, I don't know what I was expecting. We get rid of that. Change this back to defer. Okay, so the time's it's the same. Now if I build it, that should change. It does change. Huh. Is that why it's failing? S minus file rated up position. Is the file empty? No, it isn't. And for I think I understand what's happening. Is it? What is the size of the file? What's it called? lstat? No, it's not that big. Copy should overwrite the file. Standard fs file.zip. One 794. Where is it called again? Send file. Copy file. Size minus file reader position. So I'm guessing the file reader position is greater than the size. Let me have a look at copy file. Atomically creates a new file at destination path with the same contents as source path within the source directory, overwriting any already existing file. Same contents as the source path. So that means I don't need to create a file. Yeah, I know my debug has not been working since I updated it. Updated Zig to 0.15. That's why I've got to like resort to using the logs. Okay, so that means this is totally unnecessary. Would it still work if I deleted? Okay, that's good to know. What am I doing? Okay, that works. What do you know? So now if I make this red offset, but for a second I was I mean, it's good to know that it only fails. Okay, it fails all the time. I got a bit too excited there. How come it worked the last time? It works sometimes. It's even weirder. I mean, it says something right here. Integer overflow. the file writer interface and file all. File reader. Yeah, just gotta check the code. Copy file and then 2631. File reader. Okay, it tries to open the source path. Have I messed up? The order. That's not it. Let me go back. Source directory dot open file. So it's able to open the file. Then it calls send file all. What happens after? Eight, 9, 6. Okay. Then 1, 7. I think it's not the same file. Spells here. Integer overflow. It's a negative number, probably why. Because size is a U64. What is file reader up position? It's also U64. Interesting. Could be that file reader memory is getting overwritten in the stack before calling send file. Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's possibly. What I also think is here. Game code change, game live is load game live. Copies, which files? Isn't this, shouldn't this be? I mean, but I don't think that's a problem though. Oh yeah, no, so that was right. I wonder if stat file opens the file at any time. Okay, it does. Oh no, but that's Windows. I did, I mean, before I introduced stat file, I did notice that if I tried to update the game code while reading from the file, it would fail. Hang on, does Casey face the same problem? Okay, I think he faces the same problem too. That's good.
So now when we're running it, in theory it should be checking. Of course, we don't know if our code's buggy. It might be. So let's go ahead and take a look. We go in here, again doing the same green-red switch that we did before. I go ahead and hit build, and boom, instantaneous. Exactly what we wanted, right?
Oh no,
there we go.
it doesn't. It works. Oh, that sucks.
So now we're at a position to really have that nice kind of smooth feedback of every time we edit, it's just bam, right?
How come he doesn't face that problem? Well, this says copy file function. What if this is wrong? Okay, I'll figure it out tomorrow. Gonna call it a day there. I have no idea why it's faulty. But I still had a lot of fun, I would say. Well, hey, what does that mean? Is it because is it partially writing this file? It doesn't say if it's an ELF file. I wonder what these files are. Where are they coming from? Delete this, delete all of it, see what happens. I shouldn't have deleted that. That's fine. If I build it once, what's that? I build it again. Oh, sorry. Where's that other file coming from? I'm not sure. I'll look at it tomorrow. Oh, hang on. I just had an idea. I build it. And then if I go here, build again. Oh, what is this? Offset address is aligned. It's aligned, offset is bytes. I don't know what this is. I'll make note of it. Some strange files are created. Copy fails. Maybe temp or copy. Who knows? I'll figure it out tomorrow. I gotta get my debugger to work. This will be so much easier. I'll see if I can get it working today later on. Alright. But that was still fun. I am liking the last few episodes. I think so far these were my favorite. And the next one sounds good too. Oops, live code editing. Alright, okay. Hope you have a good day. Thank you for hanging out, as always. And I'll see you back here tomorrow. Alright, have a good... You too. All good. It's 7 a.m. So good morning. You have a good night. Sanctrope. You have a difficult name. Well, you have a good night. See ya. All right.